And your favorite little podcast is back, baby. New format, new vibe, new subjects, but the same old Matt, mixing up personal life with childhood memories. It's You're Still Doing That? The Rethink. Welcome to the newly remodeled You're Still Doing That, the podcast that was listened to by tens of people all around the world, is now getting a makeover. So, for the last little bit, I've been a busy guy, and the old format was just a little too much to keep up with. That doesn't mean you're not going to hear great interviews, because I really love talking to people and learning what makes them happy. But to keep this podcast alive and to keep up my normal day-to-day schedule, I need to make it simpler, a different kind of format. So here we are. Welcome to You're Still Doing That? The Rethink. Each week, or maybe bi-weekly, just depends on what life throws, I'll bring you a 4-part show. Part 1 will be the Miller Update, what's going on with me, my family, and whatever's been going on in my mind. Just a little place for me to vent and discuss things with the fans. Part 2 is Still Doing That. This will be about our childhood habits, interests, and quirks that shape our lives, and how they keep coming back up from day to day and week to week. Part 3 is Untold Stories, a personal story from my past that still plays a role in who I am today. And the last part is going to be the Listener Challenge. It'll be a thought, a task, or reflection for you to engage with. And of course, I want to hear your responses. So here we go. Welcome to the first ever episode of You're Still Doing That? The Rethink. It's good to be back, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Going to do a little solo this week and give it a try. I'm used to always talking with somebody to interview who does something amazing with their life. So this is my first time going solo. Let me know what you think. And welcome to the Miller Update. And so for the Miller Update this week, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what's going on and things like that. So most everybody knows I'm a music teacher, elementary music teacher, and that's been pretty good this week. Of course, that is where most of the stress and chaos is in my life. This past week we had a concert. First and third graders did a camping theme. That went pretty smooth concert, and our principals got pied in the face at the end. Students that got the pie in the face. There was 2 students. They were contest winners for raising the most money so we could put a new swing set at our school. And so they got the pie, the principals, from the face. And that was quite fun. I'm also prepping kindergarten for their end of the year concert and their kindergarten graduation. So that is a lot of fun as well. Let's see. Second grade is starting instrument families. And so that's been a little bit of fun. I get to show them some instruments and things like that. 5th grade just finished a chapter on Impressionism, which I love. I don't know how much they liked it, but I like Impressionism. And now they're switching to the difference between melody and harmony. So they'll be doing some instrument playing the next couple of days. And the county sent me to some training. The state of North Carolina is releasing new standards for the arts, which will go into effect in 2026. And so myself and some other arts teachers went to DPI, which is our Department of Public Instruction, and we got trained by some fancy bigwigs up there on the new language and the new framework. And I will be the music person that takes all of that fun knowledge and trains the rest of the music teachers here in our county. And it's nothing new. If anybody's been involved with any corporation or school or anything where they have a new item or new project and it gets redone and remodeled, and then you go and show it to everybody, and it's really just the same thing. It's just a new graphs and new pictures and new colors, but it's basically the same thing. So now everybody just needs to learn the new language and the new little terms, but that's about it. So that is kind of neat, though, that I was chosen to do that. So it does make me feel a little good. But I am still not a fan of of the DPI level in education. One thing I want to talk about though with school is that this past week, all my classes did a spirited round of hot potato to open up music this week. We work on music listening skills, but I also use it to teach about what you do when you lose. When you lose your turn or lose at something, what is your behavior after you lose? Because a lot of kids struggle. They throw fits or tantrums. We got a few at school that'll toss tables and chairs and scream and yell and hit if they lose their turn or if they don't get their way. So I really think it's important to talk about how you behave when you lose. And so that's what we did with the game of hot potato, because of course everybody loses but one. And so hopefully that lesson sticks with a few people, or at least builds a building block with some of those kids, because that's important. Especially if you're here in North Carolina and you follow the Supreme Court race. We had the incumbent, a lady that she won her seat, but the guy that was running against her lost, and now he's pitching a fit because he lost and he doesn't like his turn being over. So now he's decided to cheat and wants a whole bunch of absentee ballots and mail-in ballots and things like that thrown out, which drives me nuts because he's doing nothing. He's not acting like anything other than a little kid losing, and he doesn't want to lose. And so now he's trying to cheat and get his way out. And I also apologize. The pollen's gotten to me a little bit, so if it sounds like I have a cold, it's probably more than just pollen, but not the cold. Health check-in. I'm doing pretty good. I've been walking a lot, and I've been losing a few pounds. That's what I've been working on this last couple of weeks. I've really tried to step it up since the weather's gotten good. I've also been working on my ADD. I don't know if I've talked about that with a lot of people too much, but I was recently diagnosed with it. I've always known I've had it, but it's just recently gotten so out of control that I started seeing a psychiatrist for it so I get some meds to help get it under control. And I'm reading from a script or an outline because without it, I don't know what kind of random universe I'm going to start ranting about. But health-wise, things are going pretty good. I've been in good spirits and good mood, and I've been sticking to it. Down 12 pounds so far. So check in next week to see if that's just a lot of mess or if it's still gotten good, because I haven't been good at keeping up promises to myself lately. The family's good. Everybody's just doing their own thing. Everybody's just been tootling along. Sophie's at State. Ollie's finished up CC. She'll be at Western in the fall. If you guys know Owen and my son, he's just here at the house. And we'll figure out what his journey's going to be later on. Chrissy's doing well at CC and keeping that college afloat. I've been a little hesitant. I couldn't decide if I wanted to talk about politics at all in the Miller Update version this week, but it's crazy out there, folks. I know myself as a teacher, I'm pretty scared, especially since the one department in government that's there to help my job be easier and less stressful, and to give us resources, us teachers resources, so that we can reach all students. It's not one particular brand of student. That department is getting attacked and is on the verge of getting dismantled and thrown out. Funds are being canceled. The Department of Education, y'all, is on a lifeline. And it makes no sense whatsoever of why it is. It's just bonkers. We have teachers in the state that have lost their job because their paycheck is funded through grants from the federal government. There are school lunch programs that will not exist next year. And so instead of students having somewhat healthy lunches, because we all know school lunches are not particularly healthy at the moment, but programs that bring foods from local farms into the school, that we have lots of those in the state that are funded through the federal government through grants, those are gone. We have grants that fund teachers whose sole job is to recruit other teachers to work at low income or maybe at risk schools, and to get great and bright and intelligent folks in there to teach, and to get them housing and furniture in their apartment, and to take away some of those roadblocks that would keep people from teaching so they can focus on their job. Those grants are gone, and those teachers who work those programs are also gone. So those are people in the building that are gone. And so now students are displaced and thrown into more overcrowded classrooms. There's a lot I could vent on this topic and other topics, but it makes no sense. But this is just the first podcast of many, so I'm sure you'll hear me rant about something else. But y'all speak out for the Department of Education, because right now it's just lunacy that's going on, absolute lunacy. And on another sad subject, to end the Miller update, Duke lost last night to Houston. We just went cold in the last couple of minutes. Houston outworked us in the last 2 minutes. They were just hungrier. They fought more. They were more composed. We turned it over, and that's basically what happened. We were up by double digits. We had nearly a 10-point lead with 3 minutes left, like we've done 30 other times throughout this season. There is no reason why we should have lost that game. But the moment was there, and we didn't step up as a team. And so that's going to hurt for a little bit. But you know what? I trust John Shire, our coach. We had a great season. I still think running a team on freshmen, no matter how talented they are, I don't think that's a winning combination for a national championship. We still did a little bit of that this year. We had 3 freshmen on the floor most of the game, which we've done all season. That's been working, but when you get to the Final Four and you get to when it matters, the team that we lost to was not running freshmen at us. And, of course, they were more composed and more skilled, and they did not make as many mental mistakes as we did down the stretch. So hopefully next year, see a little more veterans, maybe a couple less freshmen. We'll see how it goes. Welcome to Still Doing That, folks. We're going to take a look at something from my past and how it works with me today. And y'all, I'm going to be talking about piano lessons. I don't know how many of you took piano lessons when you were little, but I think I started when I was about, I want to say maybe 6, maybe about 6 years old or so, I think. But I started taking piano lessons. And, of course, with my ADD, practicing was terrible. I didn't want to practice. It was hard for me to sit and look at the music and go through the work and figure out what was wrong or what was hard. And anything that had multiple steps and layers to it, I was not gonna be good at. And so piano was difficult because there's lots of steps, there's lots of layers. You got to roll multiple things at the same time in your head to get good at it. And I think piano is smart for most kids to take. It makes you smarter. It builds pathways between your left and your right side of your brain, which makes your brain work better. But as a kid with ADD, and of course, we didn't know what ADD was back then, or wasn't something identified. They just called us daydreamers, or our head was in the clouds, or something like that. We would get nicknamed. But that was me, always talking to myself, running stories in my head, making characters in my head. A huge imagination, but difficult to focus on the task at hand. And so now I am a piano teacher. I have a studio after school where I teach students how to play any musical instrument, but most of them are piano. And I see that in my kids today. The ADD's everywhere on most children, I think, because most of them, I think, a mixture of food that we eat and screen time they look at. I think all of that just sort of breeds ADD symptoms or things like that instead of kids learning slowly and naturally. But anyway, that's another topic because, see, I'm ranting. But I see that in my piano lesson. So I approach them differently on how my other piano teachers approached me. When my kids come in, we get silly right away. We throw a ball back and forth, and they press with their fingers to help work on finger strength exercises and individual dexterity with each of their fingers, because a lot of kids are not coordinated enough to move each finger individually by itself. So we do that with the ball, and they get to pick a song, and we just throw it back and forth and press our fingers in, and so that's fun. After we warm up with that, we usually will play a song of their choosing, something they listen to on the radio. We'll find the notes and hunt and pick, and we'll try to play along to the song. Something that's fun that gets them connected to it. But of course, we still do scales. We still have a lesson book. We still have a theory book. You can't skip steps. We still got to do those things. And you still got to put the building blocks in and the foundation in so they can move from one level to the next. But I try to mix it in with some fun and silly stuff in tandem with keeping the curriculum of the lesson book, because that's really the super important thing. But you got to run through that stuff. So I still do all that stuff, but I just changed their colors and shapes so they're more fun to climb. So I'm still doing that. I'm still sitting at a piano, but now I get to be the person I wish I had when I was struggling. I've only been in the lesson business for a couple of years, so check back with me maybe in 2 more years, and we'll see how things are going. We'll see if my system is working or if I've made any tweaks. And now it's time for Untold Stories, a story you may not have heard about me. Is it going to be scary? Is it going to be funny? Is it going to be spicy? No, it's not going to be spicy. I got to teach for 5.5 more years. After that, maybe. But today we are Duke inspired, because Duke is a great basketball team. They are my basketball team. And here is the story about how I became a Duke Blue Devils fan. So when my family moved to North Carolina, we're from California. We're from Los Angeles County. If you just heard about all the fires recently, that's exactly where we were from. We lived right in that area. My city that I was in didn't have a fire, but I'm sure they were scared. I'm sure they saw the smoke. But we would have lived right in there, a town called Covina in California, suburb of Los Angeles. And so we moved here to North Carolina in 1987. And I was the new kid. I was pudgy. I've always been kind of a pudgy kid. My parents dropped me right into Parks and Rec sports right away. I did sports as a kid in LA County. And when I got here, they put me into soccer. And I hated running. So it was a little bit of a tough start for your podcast host here. But one thing I noticed really fast is that everyone there had a team. And one day during practice, the boys on the team asked who I pulled for. And so I was from California, so I said I pulled for the Rams. Then they were like, no, basketball. So then I said the Lakers. But no, of course they meant college basketball. But I don't remember college basketball being a big thing. Growing up, it was mostly people followed professional sports was the real passion lied. So the only school I could think of was UCLA. But then I got educated real fast about what was meant here in North Carolina about your team. Most of the boys on the soccer team, of course, everybody knows, were Carolina fans. And these boys were loud. They were in your face. A few of the kids were NC State fans, but they were kind of in their own lane. But then there was this one quiet kid. He was the only one on the team, and he was a Duke fan. And the other kids ripped him apart, especially the Carolina fans. I remember he was trying to defend his team, talking about how Duke had won the ACC tournament that year, I think, but it didn't matter. He got mocked up and down that day at practice. But the kid was one of the only ones that was nice to me. The Carolina boys, not so much nice to me. They were intimidating, they were loud, they were rude. But the Duke kid, He was by himself, and he needed a friend, and he got one in me. And so from then on, I had a friend on the team who I could talk about a college with and college sports, even though I didn't know anything about him. But I had a buddy on that team, and that made me feel a part of what was going on. And that is how I became a Duke Blue Devil fan for life. And since 1987, that's been the team for me ever since. And I've never looked back. And that's my untold story of how I became a Duke Blue Devil fan. So I'm looking forward to the next season. Looking forward to seeing what Jon Scheyer does for the team. I'm looking forward to seeing what Jai Lucas does, our assistant coach. He went to Miami. They were complete and utter trash this season. So good luck to him. Hopefully he will turn it around. I'm also interested to see what happened to NC State with their new coach. He seems like a solid choice. So hopefully the ACC will come back in dominance next college basketball season. And let's go Duke. All right, people, we're about ready to close this first edition of the Rethink Out with the Listener Challenge. This week, I want you to surround yourself with good people, people who lift you up, not drag you down. Realize the bad influences in your life, those voices that chip away at your peace, and take a stand. Even when it's hard, even when it feels like the dark is closing in and there's no light at the end of the tunnel, stand anyway. Walk through it. There's always light there. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to keep moving. Let me know what this challenge means to you. That could mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. If you're seeing this on Facebook or Instagram, drop a comment, leave a post. If you're listening online somewhere, find us on Facebook or Instagram. Let us know what you think. I would love to hear it. Let's get this podcast rolling. That's it for this week's episode. I appreciate you listening more than you know. Keep doing the work, keep showing up, and don't forget, some of the best parts of life come in the things you're still doing. Be good, be kind, be nice, and have a great week.